so I'm back working on the F250. I broke the e-brake pivot bolt here on this side. I got the other side on and off. I think what happened was I heated it up and like couldn't get it off and let it cool down overnight, and it was cold and it kind of shocked the bolt and it broke. So I got a new one from Torque King, and new spring too. And then I had bought in pads, shoes I mean, for the e-brake, and I just found that the truck actually came with some. I completely forgot about it. But what I'm going to work on right now is these toolboxes. I just got both these toolboxes for a pretty good deal, and I want to mount them to the sides here. And they came with these standoffs so you can pick them up with like a forklift or a backhoe, and I thought that was cool actually, and that's kind of what I wanted to do with them anyways. But for the time being, and since my backhoe is not running yet, I'm actually going to cut them off so that I can mount them low here. They're kind of odd. They look kind of odd too standing up, and I want this thing to look good. So we're going to slice these off and then carry these boxes in the shop, because they're about, I don't know, probably 150 pounds each. They're pretty heavy, so I can barely lift them by myself right now. And cutting those three things off will give us some weight reduction, and then I'm going to wire wheel this whole thing and repaint them so they're nice and fresh and white. Alright, so let's do that. Well, about 4 grinding discs later and a full flap disc, I got them all cleaned up. I hit all the rust spots where the powder coat was coming off, and I'm going to put these inside for now, and then I'm going to give them a sand with 220 before spraying them. That's going to wait for another day, because I'm going to work on this e-brake now. So I got it done. I saved you guys all the gory details and springs snapping back at me. Those drum brakes are tough, but got new rotors on, all the pads are new, all the springs are new. We're gonna throw the tires back on this thing and get back to work. Alright, so I haven't been filming this because I need to get it done, but I wanted to show you how bad these ball joints were. See if I can, yeah, there it is. I got good 3/4 inch of play. But anyways, what I'm doing, I might set the camera up, is up. Alright, I'm working on the tie rod ends, all new tie rod ends for the Ford. This thing just barely fit in here, and I've got quite a mess right now. I haven't been filming this because I just have to get it done. As you can see, I cut off all the lower ball joints and the axle U joints and replaced them all on both sides. So we have an entirely new upper lower ball joint, eccentric nuts for camber adjustment on the top there. What else? New seals, new everything. So this whole front assembly is done. It took me 3 nights, with one of those being an all-nighter. So let's just say it's 25 hours. No, let's say it's like 20 to 25 hours. So I'm on the last steps now. So what I'm going to do first is put this, this is all done. This is all sealed up. I did some Instagram stories about it. You can check out the Instagram F250 build story, and you can see my all-nighter on there. So I'm going to put Well, I cut my ball joint short and couldn't get the tapered part out. And heating it up with that rig worked because my regulator on my tanks are bad. Over the past 3 days I got it out. And drift and a sledge and a few bruised knuckles and kneecaps. About an hour and a half of beating on it. Alright, learned a few tricks. This side went out in a half hour. 45 minutes. A lot longer, or a lot shorter than the other side. Alright, let's put it all back together. So part of the reason why this takes so long is there's all these little tricks. So you need a special adapter tool for the axle nuts, and then you have to line up a small pin on a washer in there, and the whole procedure is laid out here. You have to like tighten it 50 foot-pounds, back it off 90 degrees, line it up with a pin, torque it back, put it back on. While the final step is to grab your snap-on torque wrench, set it to 180 pounds, and torque the snot out of that one to lock it all down. 180 foot-pounds is hard for me because I only weigh 62 pounds, so I don't have that mechanical advantage. Alright, this side is done. Time to do the other side. Hub and axle are in. Gonna do the spindle assembly now. Alright, got it done. I'll clean up the rotor and put the caliper on tonight. And then I'm doing the steering stuff, and then I'm done. So close. Thanks for watching. All done. Later on there. So I'm gonna put the rotor hat on there, I'm sorry, the caliper hat, the holder, and the pads back on, and that'll be done. And then I'm gonna pull off the whole steering assembly, inner and outer drag links, inner and outer tie rod ends, and replace all of them. They're all shot. Every single bolt on this thing I had to heat up and tap out. I was running the impact all night and using map gas. I do have a torch set, but I blew up the regulator, and yeah, so I did the other side as well. I did screw up one thing in here. I have to pull this back apart, the engagement for the hub engagement. There's two axle nuts in here with a washer in between, and the washer has a pin on it, or the washer has a hole for a pin on the back nut. And it was late at night and I forgot to line up the pin on that side with the washer, and that prevents it from backing off ever. And there's a whole procedure to doing it. I have the book. You have to like torque it to 50 foot-pounds and then back it off 90 degrees, line up the pin, then torque the outer nut to like 180 foot-pounds. So I got to do all that again on the other side, but I'll only have to pull off this part. The hardest part is there's like a snap ring in here, and it's a big one, and it's hard to get it off. It's easy to get it back in, but so that should take me like a half hour on that side. But yeah, I'm gonna get this back on and get this thing out of here because I have an inspection appointment tomorrow to get this thing done. And I did the whole rear brakes too. I think I filmed some of that. I did all new rear drums. So yep, I've been going to Napa every day and then coming here every night and working on it. I need this truck tomorrow, so let's get it done. Oh, and these things are impossible to find. These are brake dust shields. This is what's on there right now. Was on there. I couldn't find them anywhere, so I just took them off. Alright, let's go. Alright, I got the old steering rack out, tie rod ends, drag links both sides. Took me forever to get all these parts. Finally got them all at Napa, but when I measure out the thread location, first I always use anti-seize the whole thing. And then I'll measure grease nipple on each side, and then tip of the bolt with it on center as the one came out, and that gets me pretty close. I'm probably actually within 1/8 overall of the old one, and then I'm gonna obviously take it to an alignment shop and get it fully aligned. I like to drive it for one day to break everything in first too, and yeah, everything's on there. It's tightened, but it's all loose, and then I'll get it in place, snug all the bolts, cotter pin every bolt, and then grease all the fittings. So let's get this big old thing in there. It probably weighs 50 pounds.